The aliens had hunted hundreds of worlds before. Every species ran. Every species failed. So when the humans didn't panic, that was the first sign something had gone terribly wrong. The deep void between stars was silent, but silence never meant safety. High above a yellow star, the alien war vessel Carvel drifted like a shadow. Its surface bent light, hiding its true size. Inside the command chamber, Huntmaster Varel Kor studied a glowing sphere of data. His species, the Rethari, had perfected the art of hunting intelligent life. They did not conquer for land. They did not negotiate for peace. They hunted because it was tradition. And tradition had never failed them. Until now. This world broadcasts constantly, Varel Kor said, his voice calm but curious. Noise. Images. Music. Arguments. Laughter. A junior hunter adjusted the scan. They call themselves humans. Carbon-based. Fragile bodies.
No clothes. No armor.
Varel Kor's eyes narrowed. Yet they flood space with signals. Fearless, or ignorant. The planet rotated on the display. Blue oceans. Green land. Artificial lights glowing like veins across the surface. A confident prey, Varel Kor said slowly. Those are always the most satisfying. The Rethari Council had already approved the assessment hunt. A small one. Observe first. Test reactions. Break resistance early. Then move on. They did not expect resistance. On Earth, Dr. Maya Chen rubbed her tired eyes and stared at the monitor again. The signal was still there. Tell me I'm wrong, she said quietly. Across the room, Elias Romero, systems analyst at the Deep Space Listening Array in Chile, shook his head. I can't. It's structured. Repeating. Intelligent. Maya leaned back in her chair. That's impossible. We would have noticed something like this before. That's the problem, Elias replied. It's not coming from deep space. Maya froze. What do you mean? Elias tapped the screen. It's already here. Inside the system. Hiding between our satellites. Like it wants to be seen, just enough. The room felt suddenly smaller. Maya reached for the secure line. We need to notify command. Now. Thousands of miles away, in a quiet desert facility, Colonel Aaron Holt listened in silence as the briefing ended. So you're saying, Holt said carefully, something unknown is watching us? Yes, sir, Maya replied over the screen. And it's studying our responses. Holt exhaled slowly. He had spent his life preparing for wars against nations. Terrorists. Cyber threats. None of those plans covered this. Do we know hostile intent? He asked. Maya hesitated. Not yet. But, the signal pattern is consistent with surveillance. Not communication. Holt nodded once. Then we assume worst case. The screen went dark. Holt turned to his second-in-command. Activate Sentinel Protocol. The officer blinked. Sir, that hasn't been used since. Since we thought we were alone, Holt interrupted. We aren't anymore. The first abduction happened in the mountains. A lone climber vanished without a sound.
No struggle. No trace.
Thermal drones found nothing. The second happened at sea. A research vessel lost power for exactly 30 seconds. When systems rebooted, one crew member was gone. The cameras showed only static, and a brief distortion, like space itself had folded. The Rethari hunters were pleased. They scatter quickly, one hunter observed. Easy fear response. Varel Kor watched the footage again. Something bothered him. Slow the last frame, he ordered. The image froze just before the distortion. A human sailor looked directly at the camera. Not screaming. Not panicking. Calculating.
Val Kors mandibles twitched.
Interesting. Humanity did not broadcast panic. There were no mass evacuations. No global announcements. Social media buzzed, but governments stayed silent. Militaries moved quietly. Satellites shifted positions. Old defense systems came online. The Ret Harry noticed. They are hiding, a hunter said confidently. Prey behavior. Varel Kaur wasn't convinced. They are organizing, he corrected. In an underground facility, Maya stood before a small group of scientists and officers. Data flowed across the walls. They are testing us, she said. Probing reactions. Learning patterns. And when they're done, someone asked. Maya met their eyes. They'll hunt openly. Colonel Holt folded his arms. Then we change the game. How? A general demanded. They're centuries ahead of us. Holt smiled grimly. So were predators, before humans learned traps. The room fell silent. Above Earth, the Carvel prepared for the next phase. Varel Kaur addressed his hunters. The prey adapts faster than expected. That makes this promising. He looked once more at the blue planet. Begin Phase 2. Make yourselves known. What he did not understand, what his species never learned, was that humans did not become the galaxy's apex species by strength alone. They survived by watching, by learning, and by waiting. The first snowfall of winter blanketed the northern wilderness, but the humans were far from idle. In the Yukon, a seemingly ordinary research facility hid something extraordinary. Inside, Captain Lila Voss and her elite team moved like shadows, preparing the tools that would turn hunters into the hunted. Every wire, every sensor, every device was part of a single design, the trap. Lila tapped the final calibration on a sensor grid surrounding the facility. Motion, heat, sound, she muttered. Every one of them will know we're ready. Not afraid. Waiting. Her second-in-command, Ravi Singh, raised an eyebrow. And you're sure this works? I mean, these creatures are at least 200 years ahead of us in tech. Which makes it perfect, Lila replied with a calm grin. They'll overestimate, underestimate, and then step right into what we prepared. Outside, the snowstorm roared, hiding the humans' presence while the hunters drifted closer in their camouflaged ships. The Ret Harry called this the anticipation phase, a test to see how prey reacts under stress. Varel Kaur studied the live feed from orbit. The humans scatter, he said, watching lights flicker across the research compound. Fearful. Weak. Predictable. But the view from inside told a different story. Lila crouched in the shadows with her team, listening. Every heartbeat, every footstep, every snowflake was accounted for. The humans weren't panicking. They were observing. Ravi checked his tablet. Sensors online. No anomalies yet. Give them time, Lila said. They always take the first step. And that first step came sooner than expected. A flicker of movement in the trees, tall, fluid, unnaturally precise, appeared against the snowy backdrop. The hunters had made their approach. 8 figures glided silently toward the facility, their amber eyes scanning. Krexel and Thavos, the front hunters, led the group, confident in centuries of predation experience. Perfect specimens, Krexel hissed. Small, weak, defenseless. Thavos tilted his head at the thermal feed. Yet the heat signature, they remain clustered. Waiting. Odd behavior for prey. Varel Kaur's voice echoed in their comm. Proceed. Observe. Then engage. Gather data. The hunters moved closer, unaware of the invisible tripwires triggered by motion sensors, the pressure pads hidden beneath the snow, the acoustic disruptors silently confusing their senses. Inside, humans watched everything unfold on monitors. Dr. Sofia Alvarez, a scientist-turned-strategist, adjusted her glasses. They're right on top of us. Remember, every step they take triggers our counters. Lila's eyes never left the display. Good. Let them think they're in control. Patience. Team. Let them make mistakes. The first hunter, Krexel, stepped onto a snow-covered pressure plate. A soft click, almost imperceptible, activated a magnetic field below the hunter's feet. His movement became slightly sluggish, his legs fighting invisible resistance. He froze, suspicion rising. Thavos advanced and was slowed by a web of wires electrified with minimal current. Enough to disrupt, not to kill. Confusion flickered across his face. Something is off, Thavos hissed. They are hiding something. Varel Kaur's tone over the comm remained cold. Ignore hesitation. Complete the assessment. Capture specimens. But the humans had anticipated this. Drones, camouflaged as snow debris, hovered silently. Each movement by the hunters was logged, analyzed, and used to predict their next steps. Ethan Cole, a former engineer now part of the tactical team, whispered, "They won't know it, but every action they take is being fed back to our control AI. Soon, they'll be trapped." Krexel lunged toward the facility's entrance, claws extended, scanning for life signs. That was the moment Lila waited for. She pressed a hidden console. A series of electromagnetic pulses flashed, temporarily disabling the hunters' stealth shields. For the first time, their outlines became visible, tall, scaled, and menacing. The hunters froze. Their eyes widened as they realized the humans had anticipated their approach. "They are not fleeing," Krexel growled. "They're ready." Inside the facility, the team's excitement was tempered by discipline. "Remember," Lila said, "the goal isn't to kill them, yet. This is to teach a lesson. To make them hesitate. Every hunter that doubts themselves is a victory." Outside, the Ret Harry were cautious now. They had never experienced prey that fought with intelligence instead of raw strength. Doubt flickered in their minds. Doubt was dangerous. A sudden flash from the perimeter. A low hum vibrated through the snow. Lila's team had activated the acoustic disruptors, creating phantom movements in the hunters' sensory fields. Krexel leaped, claws slicing snow where humans weren't. Thavos followed suit, but the sensors kept them one step ahead, guiding human snipers hidden in the tree line. Varel Kaur observed, incredulous. "They are manipulating them." "Prey cannot manipulate the hunter," a junior Ret Harry said. "They can if they think ahead," Varel Kaur admitted quietly. "This is new." Minutes turned into an hour. The hunters grew tense. Their confidence, once absolute, began to crack. Inside, Lila's team held their nerve. The humans simulated panic in some areas, retreated in others, but always according to plan. They were never caught off guard, never disorganized. Every misstep by the hunters played into their hands. Suddenly, a shadow moved overhead. A small drone, previously undetected, released a net of electromagnetic filaments. Two hunters were caught, thrashing violently as the humans watched safely from the observation room. Their armored bodies strained against invisible forces. Varel Kaur's voice was sharp now. "Recall them. End Phase 2. This is not what we expected." But it was too late. The humans had learned their weaknesses in minutes. Every movement, every attack pattern, every strategy the hunters used had been logged. Later, in the warmth of the facility's control room, Lila allowed herself a small smile. Phase 2 complete. They've underestimated us. And they will pay for it, when the real hunt begins. Ravi nodded, his expression a mix of relief and awe. "We've turned the hunters into prey. Can you believe it?" Lila shook her head, eyes gleaming. "I can. And this is only the beginning. They came to hunt, but they didn't realize who they were hunting." Outside, the storm raged, covering the humans' tracks. The hunters withdrew, confused, frustrated, and, for the first time in their history, cautious. Varel Kaur stared at the blue planet below. "They are dangerous," he said softly. "Not physically, but something else. Something we did not anticipate. They learn. They plan. And they wait." And somewhere in the snow-hidden facility, humans began planning the next step, their first counteroffensive in a war the universe had not yet imagined. The Ret Harry hunters had retreated, but their pride was wounded. Varel Kaur paced the bridge of the Carvel, amber eyes fixed on Earth's pale blue glow. He had underestimated humanity. Not physically, they were weak, fragile, unarmed compared to his species. But in cunning, in adaptability, in sheer unpredictability, Humans were unlike any prey he had encountered in millennia. They observed us, Krexel growled as he reported to Varel-Kor. Every movement, every attack. We were outmaneuvered. Varel-Kor's mandibles clicked softly, a sound humans might interpret as curiosity. Observation is not failure. It is learning. We adjust. Thavos shifted uneasily. Adjusting will not undo what they have done. We cannot strike the same way again. They expect it. On Earth, Captain Lila Voss and her team barely slept. The first trap had gone perfectly, but they knew this was only the beginning. Lila leaned over the holographic display, showing satellite overlays, motion patterns, and heat signatures of the hunters. They've already changed tactics. They are cautious now. That means they will test us, probe for weaknesses. We can use that. Dr. Sofia Alvarez adjusted a data link. I've analyzed their retreat. Notice their formations, structured, predictable. They are still confident in technology, but unsure of us. That uncertainty is dangerous for them. Ravi Singh's voice was sharp. We can't just sit and wait. They will come back stronger. We need initiative. Exactly, Lila replied. And initiative is exactly what they'll never expect from humans. Back on the Carvel, Varel-Kor convened a strategy council. 7 hunters stood around the holotable, flickering images of Earth projected in blue light. They are clever, Varel-Kor said. Not the fastest, not the strongest, but they compensate. They analyze. They adapt. And worst of all, they wait. One younger hunter, Krelis, spoke nervously. They are prey. They cannot be more than primitive mammals. How can they be dangerous? Varel-Kor's gaze cut through him. Danger is not measured in teeth or claws. Danger is measured in the mind. And these humans think. The council murmured. No other species had required such deliberation after only one engagement. This was unprecedented. On Earth, Lila's team prepared for the second phase. This time, the trap would be more than just defense. It would test the hunters' psychological limits. We are not just defending, Lila said. We are teaching them that humans are not predictable. That we cannot be measured by the same standards as other species. That is our advantage. Ethan Cole, monitoring the equipment, smirked. It's incredible. They're hunters who have never faced a species that can anticipate their every move. Sofia Alvarez added, they will test us again. They will probe our limits. And when they do, we will know exactly how they think. Every strategy, every preference, every flaw, we will know. Ravi Singh nodded, tightening the straps on his gloves. Then it's our turn to test them. The second approach began quietly, under the cover of dense fog. This time, the Ret Harry were careful. They sent drones ahead, cloaked ships circling at high altitude, and hunters moving in smaller, stealthier teams. From the observation bunker, humans tracked every signal. Every motion, every heat signature, every electronic ping was logged. They think they are clever, Lila muttered. But we've prepared for this. Every step they take, they fall into patterns we've already mapped. And indeed, the hunters moved as predicted, 3 toward the forest perimeter, 2 over the ridge, and the remaining 3 circling above. Each movement triggered subtle countermeasures, electromagnetic pulses, phantom heat signatures, sound illusions, and microdrones designed to mimic human movement. The hunters paused. Confusion rippled across their ranks. Krexel hissed, they are everywhere, but nowhere. They are watching, learning. Varel-Kor's voice over comms was calm, but tense. Maintain discipline. Do not underestimate them. Observe and collect data. But data collection became dangerous. The humans were not merely defensive, they were proactive. Using environmental sensors, they manipulated shadows, sounds, and heat. One hunter chased a phantom movement into a snow trench rigged with electromagnetic restraints. Another lunged toward a phantom signal only to trigger a localized EMP, temporarily disabling the hunter's armor and sensors. For the first time in the history of the Ret Harry hunts, The hunters began to retreat mid-engagement, not out of fear of injury, but out of fear of unpredictability.
Valkors mandibles clicked sharply.
Recall all units. They are learning faster than we anticipated. They are dangerous. Humans celebrated quietly, but they knew this was only the beginning. Lila gathered her team. Phase 2 complete. But listen carefully, we've taught them caution. That means our next engagement will define the hunt. They'll test us again, harder. They'll look for weaknesses, and we will make them believe we have none. Sofia Alvarez spoke softly. We've analyzed their physiology, their response patterns, even their communication. They are predators by instinct, but arrogance blinds them. That arrogance is their weakness. Ethan Cole grinned. And we're going to use it. Turn their strength into their trap. Above Earth, Varel Kaur stared at the planet. His species had hunted countless intelligent civilizations, but none had adapted like humans. They were unpredictable, relentless, and calculating. They are the first prey to truly challenge us, he said quietly. And that is troubling. Even his council acknowledged the same truth in silence. Hunters are rarely humbled. Hunters rarely hesitate. And yet, for the first time, the Ret Harry felt uncertainty. That uncertainty was dangerous. And humans, hidden in the snow, were only beginning to show their hand. Sofia Alvarez nodded, fingers dancing across the controls. The hunter thinks in patterns. Predictable, proud, arrogant. We will turn those patterns against them. Every move they make triggers the next step in our plan. Lila's voice was calm but commanding. Remember, no one acts alone. We are coordinated, precise, unstoppable when unified. The hunters struck at dusk, using cloaked ships and stealth teams. 8 Ret Harry descended onto the snow-covered plateau surrounding the facility. Varel Kaur monitored from orbit. They will fear soon, he said. But we are the hunters. The first human teams triggered localized heat and motion illusions, drawing hunters into open areas. A net of electromagnetic filaments rose suddenly from the snow, tangling Krexel and Thavos. One stumbled, losing balance, while another triggered a localized EMP, disabling his armor temporarily. They are controlling the battlefield, Thavos hissed. This is impossible. Varel Kaur's voice came over the comm, sharp and commanding. Adapt. Retreat. Do not be separated. Humans pressed their advantage. Hidden drones simulated multiple human movements. Acoustic devices created phantom footsteps behind and around the hunters. Microdrones projected illusions of humans appearing suddenly in snow drifts and tree lines. The hunters, once predators with absolute confidence, now hesitated. Their instincts screamed danger, but their training and pride forced them forward. Every hesitation gave humans the edge. Lila watched the displays. They think they are in control. They are not. Every move they make has already been analyzed. Every weakness is exploited. Ravi Singh's voice was quiet, almost awed. They aren't just hunters anymore, they're prey. The snowstorm intensified, but humans used it to their advantage. Heat and sound disruptors made the hunter's sensors unreliable. One hunter leapt toward a phantom human figure and triggered a series of motion-activated traps. Wires and nets ensnared him, leaving him struggling helplessly in the snow. Varel Kaur gritted his teeth. Recall all units. Extraction now. But extraction was not simple. Humans had predicted this move. Minidrones blocked escape routes, while acoustic illusions suggested reinforcements were everywhere. Hunters found themselves trapped, facing an invisible opponent that moved with perfect coordination. Inside the control room, Lila allowed herself a faint smile. They came to hunt, and they didn't realize who they were hunting. Sofia Alvarez adjusted a sensor display. We've proven what humans can do. Not by brute force, but by intelligence, strategy, and unity. That's why we are dangerous. Ethan Cole added, they may leave this field alive, but they'll never forget it. The next time they think of humans, they'll think twice. Above Earth, Varel Kaur stared at the planet. His hunters had survived, but they had been humbled. A species they had intended to dominate, intimidate, and prey upon had outsmarted them at every step. They adapt, Krexel admitted begrudgingly. They plan. They learn. And worst of all, they wait.
Valkors mandibles clicked softly.
Yes. And we have learned something as well. The Council of Hunters was silent. They had faced the strongest, the fastest, the deadliest species. And yet, humans had won not through strength, but through creativity, resilience, and cunning. Weeks later, the Ret Harry retreated to the outer edges of the solar system. Their pride was wounded, their confidence shaken. They communicated carefully now, observing humans from a distance. On Earth, Captain Lila Voss and her team dismantled the traps, but the lesson had been delivered. Humanity had shown the universe that it was not to be underestimated. Weak bodies, fragile bones, limited natural weapons, none of that mattered. Humans survived because they thought, adapted, and worked together. Maya Chen, monitoring the aftermath, spoke quietly. They'll return. Lila nodded. Yes. But now they know who we are. And next time, we'll be ready. Humanity never waits. We always fight. And we never remain prey for long. Outside, the snowstorm cleared. A pale sun rose over the mountains, and humanity's flag, the flag of resilience, ingenuity, and courage, stood proudly over the silent field. The hunters had learned a dangerous lesson. A species cannot be judged by physical strength alone. Humans were predators in disguise, cunning and relentless, and the universe would never forget it. The hunters had come to take trophies. Instead, they had received a warning. The prey had become the predator. The cold Arctic wind whipped against the reinforced windows of the Yukon facility, but inside, humans moved with precision and purpose. Captain Lila Voss surveyed the command room, eyes sharp. Phase 3 was no longer defensive, it was time to strike. The Ret Harry hunters had underestimated humans once. Twice. They had tested, probed, and withdrawn, growing cautious, hesitant, unsure. That hesitation was humanity's advantage. Teams Alpha and Beta, move to positions, Lila commanded. They think we're retreating. Make them believe it. Her team dispersed silently, blending with shadows, snow, and equipment. Every motion was choreographed, every sensor active. The hunters did not realize humans had already studied their every tactic, weakness, and preference. Above the forest, the Carvel monitored Earth.
Valkor frov ned.
They are more organized than expected. Prepare a tactical probe. We will observe before engagement. Krexel led the first team down into the snow-covered trees, sensors scanning, weapons ready. They expected prey, scattered and fearful. Instead, the humans seemed everywhere. A subtle hum began to fill the air. At first, the hunters ignored it, too low to detect clearly. Then came the heat fluctuations, phantom signatures dancing across the trees, confusing their visual and thermal sensors. They are manipulating their environment, Thavos hissed. They are controlling the battlefield. Varelkor's voice was calm but tense. Adapt. Do not act rashly. Observe. Inside the facility, Ethan Cole smiled at the screens. They've taken the bait. Phase 3 is live. Sofia Alvarez adjusted the environmental controls. Thermal disruptors, acoustic simulations, magnetic fields. Everything aligned. Every hunter that steps forward triggers multiple traps simultaneously. Ravi Singh checked his weapons. They'll think they have the advantage. Then we strike. Lila's eyes gleamed. Not just strike. Teach them that humans are not prey. That intelligence, strategy, and courage can turn the tables on even the deadliest hunters. The hunters advanced, cautiously this time. Each step they took triggered small, seemingly harmless responses, snow shifts, faint noises, slight sensor anomalies. Krexel paused. Prey behavior doesn't make sense, he muttered. They should scatter. They should panic. But... Thavos growled, scanning the area. They are controlling perception. Every shadow, every sound, it's a lie. Then came the first wave. Hidden nets of electromagnetic filaments shot up from the snow, tangling the front hunters. One faltered, losing balance. Another triggered a magnetic pulse that interfered with armor systems, sending sparks across his scaled body. Varelkor's voice crackled through the comm. Withdraw, recalibrate, maintain formation. The humans didn't pause. They pressed the advantage. From hidden positions, teams used microdrones to create phantom human movements, drawing hunters into prepared kill zones. Sensors recorded each reaction, predicting next moves. Humans had transformed their hideout into a trap, a labyrinth where every step the hunters took was controlled. Lila's voice was calm over the comms. Engage only if necessary. Let them panic first. Feed on their overconfidence. The hunters had never known uncertainty like this. They had never faced prey that could anticipate their every attack. For the first time in millennia, a hunt felt dangerous. Varelkor frowned as he watched live feed. They are orchestrating a counterattack. They are proactive. This is not standard prey behavior. Krexel snarled. They think they can predict us? They do not understand the hunt. Thavos hissed. Perhaps they understand us better than we understand them. One by one, the hunters were slowed, disoriented, or trapped. Lila's team avoided confrontation where possible, letting technology and preparation do the work. Each hunter caught in a net or subjected to a disruptor became a lesson for the rest. Meanwhile, in the skies above, drones deployed from hidden human craft. They projected illusions, making hunters see multiple copies of humans where none existed. Heat signatures flickered, shadows danced, and the hunter's senses became unreliable.
Valkor's mandibles clicked sharply.
Recall all units. Immediate extraction. They have evolved their defense. This is unacceptable. But retreat was not yet complete. Krexel's pride would not allow full withdrawal. He tried to regroup, only to find his team scattered and disoriented. Humans were everywhere and nowhere at once. Lila watched from the monitors, satisfaction hidden beneath her calm expression. They think they are the hunters. But in reality, they are the prey. The snowstorm intensified, masking the humans' movements. Teams Alpha and Beta executed flanking maneuvers, trapping the hunters in a wide, open area. Lila's final command came softly, but with power. Strike. The hunters panicked, not from physical attack, but from disorientation and psychological pressure. Every movement they made triggered another countermeasure. Heat disruptors, acoustic illusions, and electromagnetic pulses created chaos. They tried to regroup, only to stumble into traps designed precisely for their physiology and instinct patterns. Varelkor's voice broke over the comm. Withdraw immediately. Extraction, now. It was too late. They had been anticipated at every step. For the first time, a Ret Harry hunting party had been turned into a controlled battlefield by prey. Later, in the warmth of the facility, humans took stock. Injuries were minimal. Equipment had functioned perfectly. Ravi Singh exhaled. They thought they could hunt us, and yet, they fell into every trap. Sofia Alvarez smiled faintly. They are learning, yes. But so are we. And every step they take now is part of the lesson they will carry back to their people. Lila's eyes glimmered with a mixture of pride and seriousness. This is why humans are never truly prey. Strength alone does not define a species. Ingenuity, adaptability, courage, these are the true weapons. And the hunters, they've just learned that the hard way. Outside, the snowstorm raged, but humanity's signal had been sent. The Ret Harry would remember this encounter. They would return with caution. They would return with uncertainty. And that uncertainty was exactly what humans needed to prepare for the next engagement. For the first time, a predator species had learned fear. And humanity had only just begun. The northern wilderness was silent, save for the distant howl of wind across icy ridges. Inside the Yukon facility, Captain Lila Voss paced, eyes sharp and mind racing. The Ret Harry hunters had struck twice and failed, underestimating human ingenuity each time. Phase 4, she whispered, almost to herself. Time to end this. Her team moved like ghosts through the corridors. Sensors, drones, traps, all were ready. This was not defense. This was humanity taking the fight to the hunters. High above Earth, the Carvel hovered, cloaked and silent. Varel Kaur studied the planet, amber eyes narrowed. They are different, he muttered. His hunters had returned with injuries, disorientation, and, most troubling, hesitation. They have learned from our tactics, Krexel reported, his voice tight. They anticipate us at every turn.
Valcours mandibles clicked sharply.
Then we escalate. Phase 3 was a warning. Phase 4 will be decisive. Strike now. But even he did not know the full extent of humanity's plan. Humans did not fight like any other prey. Humans planned, calculated, and anticipated not just attacks, but responses to their responses. Inside the facility, the humans activated the final countermeasure. Every corridor, every room, every section of snow outside was rigged with sensors and adaptive traps. Ravi Singh moved through the command room. They'll come expecting a fight. They'll find more than that. They'll find themselves outmatched without knowing how. Sofia Alvarez nodded, fingers dancing across the controls. The hunter thinks in patterns. Predictable, proud, arrogant. We will turn those patterns against them. Every move they make triggers the next step in our plan. Lila's voice was calm but commanding. Remember, no one acts alone. We are coordinated, precise, unstoppable when unified. The hunters struck at dusk, using cloaked ships and stealth teams. 8 Ret Harry descended onto the snow-covered plateau surrounding the facility. Varel Kaur monitored from orbit. They will fear soon, he said. But we are the hunters. The first human teams triggered localized heat and motion illusions, drawing hunters into open areas. A net of electromagnetic filaments rose suddenly from the snow, tangling Krexel and Thavos. One stumbled, losing balance, while another triggered a localized EMP, disabling his armor temporarily. They are controlling the battlefield, Thavos hissed. This is impossible. Varel Kaur's voice came over the comm, sharp and commanding. Adapt. Retreat. Do not be separated. Humans pressed their advantage. Hidden drones simulated multiple human movements. Acoustic devices created phantom footsteps behind and around the hunters. Microdrones projected illusions of humans appearing suddenly in snow drifts and tree lines. The hunters, once predators with absolute confidence, now hesitated. Their instincts screamed danger, but their training and pride forced them forward. Every hesitation gave humans the edge. Lila watched the displays. They think they are in control. They are not. Every move they make has already been analyzed. Every weakness is exploited. Ravi Singh's voice was quiet, almost awed. They aren't just hunters anymore, they're prey. The snowstorm intensified, but humans used it to their advantage. Heat and sound disruptors made the hunter's sensors unreliable. One hunter leapt toward a phantom human figure and triggered a series of motion-activated traps. Wires and nets ensnared him, leaving him struggling helplessly in the snow. Varel Kaur gritted his teeth. Recall all units. Extraction now. But extraction was not simple. Humans had predicted this move. Minidrones blocked escape routes, while acoustic illusions suggested reinforcements were everywhere. Hunters found themselves trapped, facing an invisible opponent that moved with perfect coordination. Inside the control room, Lila allowed herself a faint smile. They came to hunt, and they didn't realize who they were hunting. Sofia Alvarez adjusted a sensor display. We've proven what humans can do. Not by brute force, but by intelligence, strategy, and unity. That's why we are dangerous. Ethan Cole added, they may leave this field alive, but they'll never forget it. The next time they think of humans, they'll think twice. Above Earth, Varel Kaur stared at the planet. His hunters had survived, but they had been humbled. A species they had intended to dominate, intimidate, and prey upon had outsmarted them at every step. They adapt, Krexel admitted begrudgingly. They plan. They learn. And worst of all, they wait.
Valkors mandibles clicked softly.
Yes. And we have learned something as well. The Council of Hunters was silent. They had faced the strongest, the fastest, the deadliest species. And yet, humans had won not through strength, but through creativity, resilience, and cunning. Weeks later, the Ret Harry retreated to the outer edges of the solar system. Their pride was wounded, their confidence shaken. They communicated carefully now, observing humans from a distance. On Earth, Captain Lila Voss and her team dismantled the traps, but the lesson had been delivered. Humanity had shown the universe that it was not to be underestimated. Weak bodies, fragile bones, limited natural weapons, none of that mattered. Humans survived because they thought, adapted, and worked together. Maya Chen, monitoring the aftermath, spoke quietly. They'll return. Lila nodded. Yes. But now they know who we are. And next time, we'll be ready. Humanity never waits. We always fight. And we never remain prey for long. Outside, the snowstorm cleared. A pale sun rose over the mountains, and humanity's flag, the flag of resilience, ingenuity, and courage, stood proudly over the silent field. The hunters had learned a dangerous lesson. A species cannot be judged by physical strength alone. Humans were predators in disguise, cunning and relentless, and the universe would never forget it. The hunters had come to take trophies. Instead, they had received a warning. The prey had become the predator.